Discover the incredible journey, how 3 heartwarming days with family changed everything forever. Jake stared at his phone, the screen glowing back at him with his mother Clara's name sending a shockwave through his chest. An invitation to a family reunion, was she kidding? After years of silence, for her to reach out now felt like a cruel twist of fate. Yet, as he glanced over at his daughter Lily, playing with her dolls, he felt a flicker of hope. Could reconnecting mean more than just reopening old scars? They drove into the small Ohio town, the streets lined with festive decorations that remembered better days. The air was thick with the scent of fried dough and barbecue, sounds of laughter and music wrapping around them like a warm embrace. But for every bright light and smile, Jake felt the shadows of doubt creep in. What did his estrangement from his mother matter to her now? And would he risk dragging Lily into the storm? As they pulled into the parking lot of the community center, Jake's heart raced. Tension filled the air as he stepped out of the car, apprehensively gripping Lily's hand. Clara awaited them, her expression a blend of anticipation and history. She looked older, wearier, but still held the stubbornness that had driven them apart for years. "Jake," she said, brittle and hesitant. And for a brief moment, his heart softened. But that tenderness collapsed under the weight of years past. The bitterness their relationship harbored loomed larger than any hug. "Where are your manners?" Clara softened, her gaze shifting to Lily. The child's beaming smile managed to lighten the moment, reminding Jake of the beauty of family. Reluctantly, he felt a smile creep onto his face as he watched Lily dart toward Clara, arms wide in a gesture of openness. The festival was a whirl of colors and laughter. Jake observed the townsfolk, neighbors who already knew his name, cheering and celebrating together like they'd never once worried about life's burdens. Strangely comforting yet maddening, it reminded him of everything he had fought for on his own. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the evening wore on, an unexpected secret fluttered into the conversation, igniting tension that could split the reunion in half. Clara's voice had trembled, her painful silence unraveling into accusations. "You gave up on the family," she shouted, a storm brewing in her eyes. "You chose this life of yours," she spat, emphasizing his humble struggles. Jake's face flushed with indignation. "This life is mine, Mom." "Just because it's different from your dreams," he shot back, the weight of disappointment heavy in the air. The exchanged words crackled like electric sparks, but the simmering emotions could only mean one thing: healing would not come easy with Clara's fierce grip on the past. As dusk began to blanket the festival in shadows, Jake's heart pounded against his ribcage in a rhythm of doubt. Could he forgive? Could Clara? They stood on the precipice of something raw and real, teetering between anger and desire for connection. Yet the night swirled on, echoing with the sounds of family and community, where every laughter seemed an encouragement to bridge their widening chasm. A taut silence hung between them. Would old wounds keep them apart, or lead them to healing? The answer felt just beyond reach, but hope glimmered like starlight against the dark, a call to journey deeper into family ties still waiting to be mended. Jake stood by the refreshment table, a cup of lukewarm soda cradled in his hands, watching Clara. She had taken a step back, her eyes glazed with unshed tears, the chaos of the festival swirling around her. Lily tugged at his jeans, her small fingers all but pleading for his attention. But Jake's mind was elsewhere, tangled in memories of their past, each one sharper than a knife. "What if we just pretended it never happened?" Lily chirped, her innocent suggestion cutting through the noise. It almost made Jake chuckle, but the heaviness in his heart kept it at bay. Ignoring the past was not an option. They had all learned that lesson the hard way. "Lily, sometimes we have to face our problems, even if it's uncomfortable," he replied, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. She looked up at him, her wide eyes reflecting confusion. Children had a way of seeing through layers of adult emotions, and at that moment, all she wanted was peace. Clara had turned away, her gaze now lost to the flickering light strung between the trees. For every step away she took, Jake felt himself being pulled into a whirlwind of nostalgia mixed with resentment. Was this the woman he once loved? Or was she just a ghost of the mother he had idealized in his memories? The crowd around them swayed, laughter erupting like fireworks, yet Jake felt trapped in a silence only he could hear. "I'm sorry," Clara's voice broke through the haze, surprising everyone at their makeshift table. "I didn't mean to lash out." The tremors in her voice were a stark contrast to her earlier fury, and Jake's heart clenched. "What do you want from me, Mom?" Jake's words slipped out before he could reel them back. The desperation in his tone made Clara flinch, a flicker of pain crossing her features. "I'm here, but it hurts. I want you back in my life, Jake. I want a family again," she said, her words heavy with unspoken history. The years of distance between them felt like an ocean not to be crossed, yet in that fragile moment, Jake saw a glimmer of something familiar. Was it vulnerability? "What does that mean for you?" Jake pressed, his brows knitting together. Having a family didn't mean they would suddenly forget. The path ahead was littered with questions needing answers, painful conversations inevitable. "It means I'm sorry for everything. I was wrong," Clara admitted, the fight in her voice waning. "I want to hear you, really hear you. I want to understand your life, your choices." Jake's guard faltered. He had spent so long wrestling with anger that the idea of reconciliation, even of deep conversation, felt like stumbling onto quicksand. It could be a trap, but the hope inside him stirred once more. "Do you really mean that?" he asked, his voice softer now. "I do. I just don't know how," she answered, her sincerity reflected in her pain-filled eyes. With Lily still at his side, her small fingers now gripping his tightly, Jake felt a wave of conflicting emotions wash over him. Could they really start over? Was it possible to rebuild the family they once had, piece by piece? A silence fell between them, heavy with possibility, the air electric with unspoken words. Jake took a deep breath, the scent of fried food and summer nights intertwining with the overwhelming urge for connection. "Maybe we just take it one step at a time," he suggested, a tentative smile breaking through his uncertainty. As Clara nodded, a shared breath of relief passed between them. But in the back of Jake's mind, a nagging thought gnawed at the edges of his resolve. Would this fragile connection survive once the shadows of the past surged back? Jake watched Clara as she leaned closer, a sense of determination edging into her posture. And for the first time in years, he felt a flicker of belief in the possibility of healing. But would the cracks in their relationship prove too deep to mend? The night held answers he wasn't sure he was ready to find. The laughter of festival-goers floated through the air like cheerful whispers, yet for Jake, it all felt distant. He glanced down at Lily, still grasping his hand, her innocent eyes shining with curiosity. She hadn't fully grasped the weight of the moment, but he couldn't shake the sensation that everything was about to shift. "Let us take a walk," Clara suggested suddenly, her voice breaking through Jake's thoughts. "Just us. I want to talk." Her eyes held his, a plea wrapped in a layer of hope. "Okay," Jake replied cautiously. He exchanged a glance with Lily, and she smiled back, clearly relieved to see her parents connecting, however tentatively. They began to walk toward the quieter sections of the festival, where the music faded and the laughter dulled to a murmur. Night creatures chirped in the background, blending with distant conversations. Jake could feel Clara's presence beside him. She felt both familiar and foreign, a strange mix that tugged at his heartstrings. "I know I messed up," Clara began, her voice wavering. "I spent so long just trying to survive. I wasn't there for you. Not when it mattered." The words hung in the air, thick and heavy. Jake turned to her, searching for the truth in her eyes. "I needed you, Clara. We both did. I had to figure everything out on my own, and it hurt a lot. I see that now," she whispered, deep regret etched across her face. "I thought leaving would make things easier for you. I thought I was protecting you." Silence wrapped around them again, the weight of her admission sinking in. They stepped closer to a quiet fountain, its gentle burble a soothing backdrop as Jake processed her words. So much had been left unspoken over the years, buried beneath layers of hurt and resentment. "So what do we do now?" he asked, his tone shifting from confrontation to a fragile vulnerability. "Can we really start fixing this? How do we even begin?" "I want to try," Clara said fiercely, her voice no longer wavering. "I want to know who you are now, the man you've become. I want to understand what you've been through." Jake felt a rush of emotions, a mix of nervousness and hope swirling within him. "You might not like what you find. It's been a tough road." "I know," she admitted softly, her gaze unwavering. "But I'm ready to walk it with you." As they lingered by the fountain, a warm breeze rustled the leaves around them, carrying both the scent of blooming flowers and a shared sense of possibility. For the first time, Jake felt the inklings of hope take root deep within him. Could they really navigate this complicated landscape back toward each other? Before he could voice his thoughts, a loud shout erupted from the festival grounds. "Hey! Jake!" It was Rick, his old friend, waving wildly. "Get over here. You have to see this." Jake's heart sank slightly. Could he really step away from this moment? But then again, was there a perfect time? "Go," Clara urged gently, her eyes sparkling. "We'll continue this later. There's so much more to say." Reluctantly, Jake stepped away, caught between two worlds. He turned for a moment, meeting Clara's gaze. "Promise?" "Promise," she replied, her voice steadied as he walked toward his friend and the growing crowd. Jake could feel the weight of the night shift. He was still tethered to Clara, the fragility of their new bond pulling tightly on his heart. But in the back of his mind lingered a question: could this fragile connection endure the chaos of their past? With each step he took away from the fountain, the uncertainty grew, but so did a flicker of hope. Little did he know, the answers he sought were closer than he imagined, just waiting to unfold. Jake felt a jolt of energy as he made his way through the throng of festival-goers. The distant sounds of joy and celebration were somehow both intoxicating and overwhelming. He could see Rick bouncing on his toes, excitement radiating from him like a kid in a candy store. "Seriously, man. You will not believe this," Rick called out, pulling Jake closer to him. The atmosphere around them was alive, a swirl of colors, sounds, and the scent of popcorn wafting through the air. "What is going on?" Jake asked, trying to match Rick's enthusiasm, though his heart was still with Clara and their moment by the fountain. "Fireworks are about to start. It's supposed to be the best show of the year." Rick's eyes sparkled as he spoke. "Simon, we've got a great spot right by the river." Before Jake could respond, Rick took off, leading him toward the riverbank where a crowd had gathered. As they reached the edge of the water, Jake felt an odd mix of excitement and dread. The setting was beautiful, the anticipation palpable, yet the nagging feeling of unfinished conversations lingered at the back of his mind. The night sky began to shift as dark clouds rolled in, unexpected and unwelcome. Just like the conversation Jake had left hanging with Clara, he thought. Was this sign a metaphor for what he was feeling? "Jake! Look!" Rick shouted as the first firework ignited, exploding in vibrant orange and red above them. Jake turned his gaze upward, momentarily swept away by the beauty of it. The crowd oohed and awed, and laughter mixed with the bursting sounds of each new light, but that flicker of hope he felt earlier dimmed slightly. He could feel Clara's presence ghost through his thoughts, her sincerity still echoing. What were they doing? Trying to bridge the years that had passed between them? How would they navigate the ebb and flow of emotions when their history loomed so large? Another firework burst open, showering sparks like broken stars, and a little girl beside him squealed with delight. Her laughter rang out sweetly in the night, pulling Jake from his spiraling thoughts. He watched her face light up with wonder as she pointed to the sky, eyes wide with joy. "Look, Dad!" she exclaimed, tugging on her father's sleeve. The man smiled down at her, his pride and joy evident. At that moment, Jake felt a longing so strong it tugged at his heart. He thought of Lily, how she needed this magic, just like he and Clara did, not just with fireworks, but in their lives, too. "Hey, Jake." Rick's voice broke through again. "You good, man? You're a million miles away." "Yeah, I'm fine," Jake replied, though his tone revealed a hint of distraction. "Just thinking." Rick tilted his head, a knowing smile creeping onto his face. "About Clara?" "Don't overthink it, buddy. Just enjoy the moment." Enjoy the moment. Those words struck a chord. Could he just enjoy what was right in front of him? He let his gaze wander back to the fireworks, feeling the warmth of the crowd and the pulse of excitement in the air. But a sudden crack of thunder rolled over them, loud and startling. The fireworks fizzled and then went dark. Gasps turned into murmurs of concern. A few scattered drops of rain began to fall, ominous and uninvited. "Uh-oh," Rick said, peering at the sky. "Looks like a storm's rolling in." Jake frowned. "Maybe we should head back to the main area." But as they moved, Jake felt a rush of determination. He wouldn't let this night slip away without confronting what really mattered. Before he could second-guess himself, he grabbed his phone and sent Clara a quick message. "Can we meet after the fireworks? Need to talk. Just us." He glanced at Rick, who was obliviously bouncing up and down. "One more round of fireworks would be nice, right?" "Sure," Jake said, but his focus was already shifting to what was brewing in his heart. He didn't want more noise, he wanted real clarity. Would he have the courage to face the truth, however messy it might be? As they navigated the crowd, the atmosphere suddenly shifted again. The air felt charged, thick with anticipation. Jake knew something significant was about to happen, not just with the storm brewing overhead, but within himself as well. In a split second, his phone buzzed. Clara had replied. "Of course. Let us not let the night end without talking." But was this the right time, or was he walking straight into another storm? Jake could feel the weight of the unknown pressing down, electrifying and daunting. As the sky darkened, it became suddenly clear. Moments of truth rarely wait for the perfect timing. Would he find the strength to embrace the tempest of emotions ahead? Jake felt the raindrops start to fall heavier, mixing with the tension that crackled in the air. The crowd around him began to scatter, confused and looking for shelter. Rick was still buzzing with energy, oblivious to the waning excitement around them. "Come on, let us get to that food truck. I still want a funnel cake," he shouted, grinning through the noise. "Rick!" Jake called, his voice louder than he intended, almost cutting through the chaos around them. "I need to find Clara." Rick raised an eyebrow, pausing mid-step. "Are you serious? Now?" "Yeah, I owe her that," Jake replied, the urgency rising in his chest. "I can't keep avoiding this. I need to know where we stand." "Okay, man," Rick said, his playful demeanor softening. "I'll catch you at the truck, then." He gave Jake a serious nod, then darted off toward the remains of the festivities. Jake turned, scanning the crowded area for Clara. Her blonde hair always seemed to catch the light, but now it blended into the sea of people, all seeking cover from the sudden downpour. He felt the familiar swirl of emotions: hope, fear, regret tightening in his stomach as he yelled her name above the chaotic murmurs. "Clara! Clara!" Just then, he spotted her under a pavilion, her face lit up with laughter as she shared an umbrella with a friend. The vision sent his heart racing. He made his way over, dodging puddles and clusters of festival-goers, feeling 30 years' worth of memories flood back. "Jake!" Clara called as he approached, her smile dazzling even through the gloom of the storm. "I thought you'd left." "No, I'm still here," he replied, trying to drown out the flood of feelings breaching the dam built around his heart. "I wanted to talk." Oh, her expression changed, curiosity replacing joy. The lightness of the moment slipped away like the firework sparks that had just fizzled out. "Now? No more waiting. Let us talk about us." Just as he began to speak, another loud crack of thunder echoed across the sky, shaking the ground beneath them. Clara glanced back nervously, and Jake could see the shadows of uncertainty flickering in her eyes. "Jake," This isn't the right time, no. I can't hide anymore, he cut in, determination knotting his brow. I can't pretend everything's fine when it's not. There's too much history, too much between us to ignore. She hesitated, nervously biting her lower lip. Clara's gaze lingered on the rain cascading down around them. But what if she started, but the words hung heavy in the air like the dark clouds overhead. What if it's messy? Jake finished for her. What if it's everything we've hoped for but scared to confront? I'd rather face the rain with you than stand on the sidelines and wonder what could have been. Jake, she hesitated again, then took a step closer, the distance between them narrowing. The scent of rain and earth surrounded them, creating a cocoon that felt both welcoming and heavy with unspoken fears. I can't do this in half measures, Clara. I want to know if there's a chance for us, he said, his voice barely above a whisper, cutting through the noise of the storm. The moment hung like the precipice before a plunge, but just as Jake thought he might reach her, a sudden blast of wind swept through, forcing them apart. Clara stumbled back, her eyes wide with a mix of surprise and apprehension. Jake, she shook her head as if trying to clear it. I don't know if I'm ready. His heart sank. The flicker of hope he held felt dimmer now, battling against the tempest around them. Was he pushing too hard? Creating more distance when he wanted to draw her closer? Just as he began to form a response, the rain began to pour harder, soaking through their clothes like the doubt soaking his heart. Let us find somewhere dry, he suggested, voice steady despite the tumult inside. Clara nodded, but Jake sensed something had shifted. She was not just avoiding the rain. She was avoiding him and whatever storm lay ahead. As he turned to lead her away, a spark of determination ignited within him. Would this conversation lead them to shelter or deeper turmoil? And as thunder rumbled ominously in the distance, Jake pondered whether running from storms was ever the solution or simply a delay. Would this moment convert into a breakthrough or a delicate goodbye? They moved through the crowd, the rain coming down in sheets that blurred the world around them, a chaotic swirl of colors and shapes. Jake kept his gaze locked on Clara, noting how her brow furrowed with every step. She was caught between the weight of the conversation they had yet to have and the chill of the rain soaking through her clothes. Over here, he shouted, spotting an awning of a nearby cafe that still served coffee despite the storm. They rushed inside, Jake holding the door open for Clara as she slipped in, her laughter bubbling slightly from the warmth inside. As they settled at a small table near the window, Clara wrung out her hair, shaking droplets onto the floor. Jake couldn't help but smile at her. She always managed to lighten the mood, even in stormy weather. But the grin faded as the reality of their conversation loomed like the dark clouds outside. Okay, we're dry now, Clara said, looking him in the eyes. What did you want to say? Jake took a deep breath, feeling the words teeter on the edge of his thoughts, struggling to break free. I wanted to talk about us. About everything that happened last summer and how it feels like we've been drifting apart ever since. Clara's fingers fidgeted with her empty water cup, her eyes flicking away for a moment. Jake, it's not that simple. I didn't expect to see you here today. And now, with everything exactly. He interrupted, his voice rising in frustration. With everything. We can't just pretend it all didn't happen. I still care about you. The words felt heavy, but they were also freeing. He had said them out loud. Clara bit her lip again, a mixture of pain and confusion shadowing her features. What are you suggesting? That we just jump back into things? Like nothing ever changed? No. I'm not saying that. He leaned in, urgency thickening his voice. But I can't stand here and let this chance slip away. We owe it to ourselves to figure this out, to see if we can salvage what we had. The cafe was mostly empty, the rain creating a gentle rhythm that filled the silence between them. Jake watched as Clara's face transformed from worry to contemplation. Was she weighing his words? Considering the past? He could see her heart wrestling with her mind, and his own pulse raced in response. Do you really think we can go back? She finally asked, her voice small but steady. Maybe not back, but forward, he urged. Things can't be the same, but they don't have to be a disaster either. Clara, I believe we can find a way to navigate through the mess together. Her eyes glittered with unshed tears, and he felt the urge to reach out, to close the gap between them, but he held back. This was her moment too. She had to decide how she felt just as much as he did. Jake, she began, but before she could finish, the power within the cafe flickered and dimmed. The lights buzzed before finally going out, plunging them into an unexpected darkness. A few people gasped, and then someone laughed, breaking the tension with a light-hearted comment about the storm. In that moment, everything felt surreal. Shadows danced around them, and the rain pounded the windows like nature's own applause. What now? Clara whispered, the sound feeling intimate against the backdrop of chaos. Maybe it's a sign, Jake said, his heart racing as he ventured closer, that we should embrace this uncertainty, just like we're embracing this storm. Clara's breath caught, and he could see vulnerability in her eyes. Could they really brave this together? Would they take that uncertain step into whatever lay ahead? And as the rumbles of thunder rolled through the city, Jake realized that the storm outside mirrored the questions swirling in his heart. Would they weather the storm together, or was this just another storm meant to pull them apart? The answer lay in Clara's hands, and his own heart raced with hope and fear as he waited for her next words. The darkness draped over the cafe like a heavy blanket, but the storm outside created a rhythm that drowned out their fears. Jake found himself leaning closer to Clara, drawn in by both the intimate setting and the weight of their conversation. He felt a surge of emotions: anticipation, doubt, and the undeniable urge to reach for her hand. Jake, Clara started again, her voice trembling slightly. What if we can't go forward? What if I can't forgive myself for everything that happened? Her words hung in the air, as heavy as the rain pounding against the windows. He saw the pain reflected in her eyes, a mirror of his own unspoken fears. He wanted to tell her that forgiveness was possible. That healing was a journey they could take together. But how could he convince her when he felt the weight of his own missteps? Clara, he said softly, I don't think we have to erase the past. We just have to acknowledge it. It's part of who we are now. Each moment we shared, even the hard ones, they've shaped us. She nodded slowly, but her expression remained guarded. I just don't want to lose what we had again. That feeling of being whole, it's hard to come by. But isn't that worth fighting for? Jake's heart pounded as he looked deeper into her eyes, searching for any glimmer of the connection they once had. I would rather risk everything than walk away and wonder what could have been. We have to confront our fears. Together. Just then, the lights flickered back to life, pouring over Clara's face and illuminating the determination etched in her features. The cafe was filled with the soft hum of laughter and chatter, making the silence between them all the more pronounced. But in that flicker of light, hope ignited within Jake. It was a sign not of an ending but of the possibility of a new beginning. Clara took a deep breath, holding his gaze. What if we try? Just a small step. A coffee date, not as a couple, but as friends first. Can we do that? Her tentative suggestion sent a thrill through Jake, unlike anything else he had felt in a long time. Absolutely, he replied. Friends first. We can figure it all out one coffee at a time. A smile broke across her face, lifting the tension that had shrouded them moments before. There was a lightness now, even as the rain continued to cascade outside. What do you want? Jake asked, curious about her feelings that seemed to churn just beneath the surface. I want to know that it's okay to hope, Clara admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I want to feel safe enough to want something again, to want us again. As the storm raged on, they began to share stories, laughter punctuating the air with each memory they revisited. They discussed everything from their favorite coffee blends to the summer outings that had once lit up their lives. But as Jake listened, he felt a stirring unease. It was one thing to talk about moving forward, but another to solidify the bridge back to each other. The past still lingered in the shadows, a specter that could haunt them if they allowed it. Just then, a loud clap of thunder resonated through the cafe, causing a collective hush to fall over the patrons. Jake's pulse quickened with the sudden shift, uncertainty mingling with the flicker of hope that Clara had rekindled within him. Could they truly embrace both the past and the future? What would that journey look like? He locked eyes with Clara, the air thick with a new tension. Clara, he breathed, if we're going to take this step, we have to be honest about everything. Her expression shifted, the weight of realization dawning on her. Were they really ready to peel back the layers of their hearts? Would they find strength in vulnerability? The storm outside raged on, but for the first time, it felt less like chaos and more a part of a greater symphony. As their laughter faded, silence wrapped around them again this time, charged with possibility. Would they take the plunge into the depths of their emotions, or would the storm pull them apart once more? The answer loomed, waiting to be discovered. Jake felt a shiver run down his spine as silence enveloped them, a fragile moment suspended in time. The flickering lights cast curious shadows on Clara's face, illuminating her features as if the universe had set this stage just for them. He wanted to reach out, to bridge the distance forming with unspoken fears, but he could see her retreating into thought. What if we dug deeper? He suggested, his voice barely above a murmur. What if we opened up about our fears, the hurt, all of it? I mean, really opened up? Clara's eyes widened slightly, a flicker of something passing through them, fear, apprehension, or perhaps a glimmer of hope. She chewed her lip and glanced away, hesitating. That sounds terrifying, Jake. What if we go too deep and can't come back? He took a breath, steadying himself. But what if that's exactly what we need? What if there's healing in those depths? If we can face the darkest parts of us, then maybe we are strong enough to find the light. She looked at him, eyes searching. You really think that's possible? Absolutely, he responded, his heart racing. It means we're not just avoiding the scars. We're embracing them. That's true bravery, Clara. The thunder rumbled again, and this time, it felt more like a warning than a comfort. But still, they held on to each other's gaze, as if taking this leap together would tether them through the storm. I've never been good at being vulnerable, Clara admitted slowly, her voice thick with uncertainty. Every time I tried, it felt like I was just getting hurt over and over. His heart ached for her. I get it, he replied softly. But it's a risk worth taking, isn't it? You can trust me, and I promise I'm here to catch you if you fall. The tension shifted subtly. Clara's shoulders relaxed just a fraction, the barricade she held slowly giving way under the weight of his sincerity. Okay, let us try, she finally whispered, her voice shaky yet resolute. He nodded, feeling hope wash over him like the rain outside. Let us start with that first coffee date. Just friends, no expectations. Clara's smile was fragile but genuine, and he felt the first threads of connection weaving back between them. They shared tentative stories, laughter now threading through the remnants of unease. A newfound energy seemed to pulse in the cafe, wrapping around them, cushioning their conversation. It felt as though they were unraveling the years of hurt, bit by bit, but then, Jake sensed his own walls. The laughter began to fade into an uncomfortable silence as thoughts of betrayal flashed through his mind. Could he truly share his feelings without being judged? What about us? He asked, breaking the quiet. What if wanting us still hurts? Can we bear that? Clara met his eyes with intensity. I want us, Jake. But the wounds are still there. Maybe we can begin to heal each other, step by painful step. He suggested, unsure but hopeful. Maybe her voice trailed off, uncertainty creeping back into her eyes. The lights flickered again, casting them in stark relief against the background noise of the cafe. Jake felt the delicate balance of hope and fear rocking under their conversation. What if they could find strength in their vulnerability but still falter at the edge of connection? The storm outside continued to rage, a haunting reminder of how easily things could spiral out of control. Jake, Clara said suddenly, her tone serious, can we talk about what happened? About why we fell apart? His pulse quickened, the shadow of past pain creeping into the warmth of the moment. Could he bear to dredge up the past when they were just starting to mend? But how could they truly move forward without addressing the wounds that had shaped them? As Clara's gaze pierced through his, the stakes felt unbearably high. Would they open that door, risking everything in the name of truth, or retreat back to safety? The answer hung in the air, thick with tension and possibility. Would they be ready for what lay beyond? Jake's heart raced in his chest. A million thoughts collided within him, yet all he could manage was a nod, an agreement to dive into the depths of their past, a past stained with hurt and regret. I think we need to, he finally whispered, his voice unsteady. We can't keep pretending. Not anymore. Clara's face tensed, the weight of the moment settling heavily on her shoulders. She blinked at him, searching for assurance. Are you sure? I don't want to dig up things that will rip us apart all over again. He offered her the best smile he could muster, masking the tremor of fear that danced within him. I'm sure. You mean too much to me to let it go unsaid. It's like trying to run a marathon with a broken leg. We have to heal first if we want to get anywhere. The corner of her mouth twitched, an acknowledgement of their shared pain and vulnerability. All right, but we have to promise not to hold back. With a deep breath, Clara leaned in closer, her voice barely above a whisper. Okay. It all started when you left. That weekend with your friends completely crushed me. The words hung in the air, sharp and pointed. Jake's breath caught in his throat. He remembered that weekend clearly, how he had convinced himself that being with his friends was what mattered. But he never realized the damage it would cause. I know, he replied, his own voice trembling. I was stupid. I thought I could manage both worlds, but I hurt you in the process. Clara's eyes glistened, the storm now reflected in her gaze. It wasn't just that, Jake. It was the feeling of not being enough. Like you were choosing something else over me, over us. A knot formed in his chest, the haunting clarity of her words slicing through him. I never wanted you to feel that way. It was never about not loving you. I was running from my own feelings, afraid of getting too deep into something that felt so real. Clara's breath hitched. But I needed you there, Jake. I was falling apart, and instead of helping, you turned away. I just felt so alone. Her words wrapped around him like chains, binding him to the reality of their past. Each confession was a step deeper into a chasm neither of them wanted to navigate. I wish I could take it all back. I'm sorry for being selfish. I wish I had recognized how much you meant to me before I lost you. Tears brimmed in Clara's eyes, and they fell unbidden. It hurts thinking about it. But if we don't face it now, we may never get the chance again. Jake nodded, understanding the truth of her words. Then let us face it together. I want to know everything, even the parts that hurt. She met his gaze, a fierce determination lighting her features. Okay. But I need you to promise me that you won't shut me out again. No walls, no distractions. His heart quickened, this was a fragile pact they were forging. I promise. I want to try this, really try. You're worth the risk, Clara. Outside, the storm continued to rage, a perfect metaphor for their internal struggle. Time felt suspended, wrapped tightly in the threads of their shared confessions as they tiptoed through their painful past. Tell me about that night, Clara said softly, her voice faltering. The night everything changed. As Jake began to recount the details buried in the corners of his memory, he could feel the shadows of past mistakes creeping more closely. Each word spilled forth, an unspooling of secrets and sorrows, and with each confession, he couldn't help but wonder if they were heading toward redemption or further into despair. But one thing was certain, they had opened Pandora's box, and there was no turning back now. Would they be able to weather the storm raging within and emerge on the other side, or would the weight of their past drown them both? Jake sat in the quaint cafe, the rhythmic patter of rain against the window mimicking the rising beat of his heart. Clara leaned closer, her expression searching his, and he could feel the tension thickening the air surrounding them. It was a fragile moment, teetering on the edge where vulnerability met fear. Clara, I want to know you fully, not just the sweet parts but the hard ones too. Let us lay it all out. I can't keep hiding, he said, his voice earnest and steady, her lips trembled, yet Jake saw it, the spark of connection flickering back to life amidst the remnants of their past storm. Right. We have to be brave about this, she replied. Good. Then let us dive into that night, he suggested, a mix of trepidation and resolve swirling inside him. The night I stayed out. Clara's gaze fell, her reflection in the window gripped tightly with memories. It hurt, Jake. I thought we had each other's backs. I thought I could balance everything, he replied as remorse settled in. But in the chase for friends and fun, I pushed you away. I'm so Jake, she interrupted, her voice earnest yet soft. I get it. But I felt like I wasn't enough for you. You went off, and I was left here, lost. Silence enveloped the cafe, broken only by the sound of droplets cascading off the awning outside. He felt the weight of her words. They weren't just echoes of hurt but a struggle for understanding, including what had hurt them both. I thought time would heal it, he admitted. I thought I could just come back, pick things up, and pretend nothing happened. But that's not how love works, is it? Love doesn't wait. Clara's eyes glistened, and the earnestness in her voice turned a corner in Jake's heart. Love requires honesty. We're both guilty of running away. Yes, he said, relief washing over him. It felt good to finally tear down walls that had been built by fear and misunderstanding. I should have cherished you. As he spoke, he felt a flame ignite inside him. This conversation wasn't just about reliving the hurt, it was a chance to resurrect their future. He saw a fierce determination swell in Clara's eyes, a willingness to work through the pain together rather than apart. Clara leaned back slightly, analyzing him in a way that made his heart race. So, what do we do now? She asked. Now we keep talking, he replied firmly. We've acknowledged the mess, and it's hard, but we need to dig deeper if we're going to find our way back. They shared the next moments, wrapping their hearts more into the dialogue. Each revelation brought both relief and pain, yet, through every word, there was a recognition of hope, the possibility that they could fix what they had allowed to break. I don't want us to live in the shadows of past mistakes. I want to build a future together, Clara, Jake confessed. Her eyes softened, the tension easing as she nodded. I can't promise it'll be easy, but I want to try. I want to learn to trust again. Then let us do that. He said, feeling an exhilarating rush surge through him. One step at a time. Friends first, just like we said. A small smile broke through Clara's seriousness, filling Jake's heart with warmth. Okay. But I need to understand why you let me go on that night, on that weekend, she asked, and he felt another weight settle. What was going through your head? Jake took a deep breath, ready to spill his fears onto the table like open wounds. I was caught up in being someone I thought I should be. I let myself get lost in the fun, the party. It was my escape, not realizing you were back home battling your own darkness alone. Clara's brow furrowed, processing his admission. What can we do differently? We form a partnership. We stay rooted in our truth, however messy it gets, he urged. I want to be involved in all parts of your life, the light and the dark. Promise? She asked, the urgency in her question intensified by the warmth of her vulnerability. I promise. You'll never just be the girl at home while I chase my dreams. Together, we'll chase our dreams, he stated, a wave of determination surging within him. I want that, she whispered, fighting the tears threatening to spill. Let us not be afraid to fall again, even if it hurts. As they spoke, the storm outside began to ease, as if nature was mirroring the shift in their atmosphere. The cafe felt intimate now, their bubbles of conversation weaving tighter around them. A half-formed laugh slipped from Jake's lips. We might just drown in emotions. You ready for that? Clara chuckled, the sweet sound lightening the heaviness that had lingered. Always. Just remind me that I'm swimming, not sinking. Deal, he laughed, the camaraderie warming the space between them. Okay, light years ahead of pity parties, what's the next step? Clara pressed, her eyes brightening with hope. Coffee? Jake suggested with a grin. Not just any coffee, but coffee during sunlit mornings, not moody storms. Great idea. On you. Clara countered, laughter gracing her features. They exchanged ideas about how to nurture their relationship as they walked out of the cafe, the fear of the storm now behind them. Then, in the soft glow of post-storm twilight, Clara paused to look at him more earnestly than ever. Jake, this is a new beginning, isn't it? A chance for us? Yes, he nodded, feeling a surge of affirmation. A chance for us. Together. And with that, as they stepped into the cool evening air, they both felt it, not just the warmth of each other's presence but the whisper of something profound, a fresh start, grounded in honesty. The storm had passed, leaving them with sweet possibility. With hearts unburdened and spirits intertwined, they knew they would embrace every step ahead, together. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow our community. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support is the lifeblood of this channel.